Welcome back to another episode of the Crypto Den and Collective Shifts combined videos on a bit of technical analysis and fundamental analysis, where we break down from both perspectives the latest cryptocurrencies that have been performing, really well in the market. We share some of our commentary on where they're at, whether their recent price action was justified, and we also preview a bit of what the outlook for each of those, coins and tokens look like. It's nice to be back with Cass from the Crypto Den. I'm over here in Texas in the US, and so we've really tried to align our time. So I'm glad that we could jump back on Cass because I find these very valuable, and especially with Bitcoin, particularly sort of being quite volatile the last few days. I'm looking forward to sort of jumping into it and really getting across where crypto is at.
Awesome, me too. I very much missed last week, so good to be back.
Sure is. Let's fire away with Bitcoin. I think since our last episode, I think it did touch up to 31,000 US, but it has sort of like had a pullback. So I'm interested to see sort of what you're seeing here, Cass, on the charts as I'll let you get things started.
No worries. Okay, so when I believe our last call, I had this big wedge drawn and we were sort of up here. We had a pullback and then we had another push up. I shared this chart on our Facebook page the other day, expecting another push up to this area, create, because we had our high, then we actually created a lower low from here. And then create a lower high. So I was expecting a pullback here, key fib levels and area of resistance. So that's what's happened at the moment. Sorry, I won't go down yet. I would like us to come down to this pink circle down here so I'll just get rid of these fibs, clear it up a bit.
Yeah, so about 25,000. That is 24,500.
Yeah, 24, 25.
Yeah.
So going from this local bottom here to the top here, on the daily, we got our level of support through here, and then we've got our 618 and our 50 fibs. So I would, for a healthy retracement, I would like us to come back down here. That's the plan at the moment. We do have to get through this level at 27K for that to happen. So am watching that at the moment on the 240, the 4 hour. So so the EMAs came to look like they were going to cross here, but they didn't. They just bounced. So the 200, the yellow is still holding strong. And then the 50, we have broken below the 50 on the 240 and the 200. So I would like us to break through this level and then continue down to this sort of 25K range area. I think that would be healthy for BTC. Do you have anything to add?
Nice. Yeah, I think we are just coming in while still May the 1st here, or May the 2nd, where you are in Australia, and we have just had the fourth month in a row of monthly green candles for Bitcoin, and I think you have to go back to early 2021 since I think that was. So just off historical price action for something like Bitcoin, that it's like odds are, the way I just think of it is like odds are, is it really going to put in like another 5th green monthly candle in a row? Yes, it's come off a low base, but the way I think of it, I'm like, fundamentally, I just feel like we're just due for a bit of a cool down. And we did sort of see that at the end of April. Fundamentally, Bitcoin is still like the core sort of, metrics and on-chain activity is still just sort of like humming along. It isn't anything too bullish. We've got the situation where the Bitcoin mining space, it is very healthy, like the hash rate. So that's basically a proxy for sort of the security of Bitcoin is basically at all-time highs, which is awesome. The daily transactions is actually, I think, did print an all-time high just I think actually on the weekend, which is actually very significant because Bitcoin's about 13, 14 years old now, and that was a very significant development, mainly because of these new things called Bitcoin ordinals, which we don't really need to go into, but it's just at a time when Bitcoin is sort of existing in a period where there's sort of banking turmoil going on in the US. I know just this morning another sort of bank did collapse and eventually got acquired in the US. Again, that was pretty big news, and we did see as sort of fear sort of rose and concerns about this bank solvency really increased probably in the last week, that we actually saw Bitcoin and gold actually sort of rally on the back of that, which was, for someone like me, that's like very encouraging to see. It almost like is a signal that the market's sort of understanding like the value of Bitcoin, at least from a fundamental level. So that was something to see. But again, just overall, like it just seems like things have been running, quite like a pretty quite hot really the first 4 months. And it's just I do question whether it can continue. I wouldn't complain if it does, but I tend to think that we're just due for a bit of a red month, or even just some sideways action.
Yeah, definitely. We have had a good run, as you just said, and this 30K mark was a big sort of area for it to try and get through. She didn't get through it. She's had 2 touches at it. Well, two goes at it. So, a nice healthy retracement would be good for Bitcoin.
Yeah, and I think, as we even touched on, maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago, just highlighting how little history Bitcoin has had in this price range. So I suppose the more time it can spend in there, finding certain support, resistance, and just getting that data, accumulating that data of in this sort of range between 25 and 30 is, as you said, Cass, sort of a healthy thing, and it would really establish that. Well, I think it's pretty high level of conviction that the bottom is in, but definitely if we do just bounce around in this range, I'll be even more confident that the worst has passed us, that we saw around that time of the FTX collapse. But anything else to add on BTC, Cass? Otherwise, we can move on.
Yeah, no, I've got nothing else at the moment. As I said, waiting for this area to be hit. Hopefully get through this support level. So
good stuff.
Go to ETH. Okay, I'll go to ETH on the daily. I'll just have a look at the daily.
Quite a pullback in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, well, same with ETH.
Yeah.
ETH had a really good run. I know you spoke a couple of weeks ago, the fundamentals behind ETH, the news coming out and that sort of thing. So so I do sort of think that ETH has had sort of like a better run than Bitcoin, held its own more, I guess. Just see. Okay, daily. I'll just do fibs from that low to this high. So I pull back very similar to Bitcoin. Would like to see a nice healthy pullback from this low to this high, in between this sort of 618, 786 area. So I will just mark that. But then if we don't want to go that low, and just do fibs from this local bottom to the high, it's similar area. There's a level 3 there. Support level. Don't know if we'll get down here. A bit of a tripwire. So tripwire is when your trend line actually goes through candles, and you could say it's broken, then we're going to retest, but it actually just breaks and pushes back up through. But there is support there. Well, we're touching this line now. So at the moment, we're coming into a level of support and touching this trend line. The MACD does look like we could turn bullish soon. So I'd be looking with ETH, maybe a play in this triangle, and then a decision whether we break up and out or break down, retest, and fill up down here. I do see that's daily. Yeah, I would like a move down here in that area.
Yeah, about 1520 to 1680.
Yeah,
Like
1520 to 1680.
Yeah.
So that would be good. We've also, even if we sort of bounce off the 1462 area, which is the 886, which has a level 3 there. So I'm finding ETH not as sort of predictable as BTC at the moment. But as I said, would like that nice healthy retracement down. But it will be interesting to see if we hold here or not, because 4 hour looks, for the day traders out there, 4 hour looks like we could have a push up. A little bit of a divergence there. MACD looks good to turn soon. So yeah, see how this trend line holds and go from there.
Yeah, that's even if the conclusion is that it's not as predictable as BTC, or at least not as many signals, sort of not as mixed signals as BTC. That's still very valuable, and it kind of does support at least the way I'm thinking of ETH and BTC for the rest of this year. That BTCs will sort of lead the way, and ETH will sort of follow after it's had. After ETH has sort of had this nice run, but just even fundamentally, April's now come to a close, and it might surprise some people to learn that for the whole month of April, ETH was like net deflationary for the entire month. So when you're looking at the supply of ETH is around 120 million. And every day it essentially that figure like very, very marginally decreased. And that's due to just mechanisms based on like how many people are using Ethereum, how much demand there is for using it, and how high the gas fees are. Just to really dumb it down, when it is a lot and that demand's really high, you'll end up seeing a situation where ETH, the supply of ETH will sort of tend to fall. And that's from an investment standpoint, you can argue that is sort of like a promising case in the sense that it's a more scarce asset once as it sort of declines in supply. But you could flip that on its head though and say, well, hey, it's only declining because that means gas is very high. And then you've got that other argument of saying, well, hey, if gas is very high, it's probably pricing out the vast majority of the world's sort of population who probably don't even have the funds to even want to pay 50 or 100 US dollars in fees just to mint an NFT that might cost $50 anyway. So Ethereum is still struggling, I think. But that's one thing that has surprised me in this bear market is Ethereum gas fees have still stayed a lot higher than what I would have predicted. So again, it's just a function of there still being a lot of demand to use the base Ethereum chain. So we've seen the layer twos and whatnots like prop up, and they've sort of attracted their own users, but still there's still quite a significant amount of demand to actually be using the Ethereum 1 blockchain, and still the Ethereum layer 1 blockchain, and still you're getting all these people who are willing to pay what I think are pretty exorbitant or unsustainable fees, I suppose.
Yeah.
Phrase it, if you put it this way, like if Ethereum's fees are going to be like this forever, I really struggle to see a scenario where it gets out of this like little crypto insulated world and it actually expands to to the masses. So that's just an update there from the Ethereum side of things.
Yeah, I do agree that the fees can be quite rich. So hopefully they fix that.
Yeah. A lot of incentive to get it right, but definitely a tough challenge. But well, even then, just an extra bit. We did see, what are we? Probably about 2021, an enormous reason why we saw the likes of Solana, Avalanche, Phantom, Polkadot, all of those, even Binance Smart Chain, all of those. Like probably I would actually say like the number one reason why they were able to run so high is because of this just combined sort of frustration of just how expensive it was to use Ethereum. And that really helped these alternative chains, attract users. So even from a trading or investment standpoint, if you do see Ethereum continue to have these high gas fees, you can argue, and I certainly would agree, that it sort of makes the case for these other chains, more promising, at least in the short term, while they work on fixing these fees.
Exactly. Yeah, I couldn't agree more.
Yeah. To AVAX, well, actually one of these alternative chains to Ethereum that I just mentioned. And I think last time, well, we've touched on it, I think, a couple of times, Cass, in sort of the lead up to this conference that gets underway this week over in Spain for the Avalanche sort of community ecosystem. And what are we on here at the moment? Trading at about $16.70.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
So on the daily, we are making a triangle. So we've got support at around $14. Do some fibs from that local bottom to the top, and we are actually hitting a nice key reversal area. So when's the conference in Spain?
I think it starts May the 3rd and it goes for 3 days.
And is it purely for AVAX or other?
Yeah, it's entirely Avalanche. So they got over 300 speakers, over 4,000 attendees they're predicting, and a lot of big sponsors as well. So I would expect there to be some big announcements, but whether it's one of those sell the event sort of scenarios, time will tell. It probably depends on the nature of the announcements, if I'm being honest.
Yes. Okay, so if it does actually look good for a push up. So I've got two support levels here at about 1060 and then 14. Currently on the 3-day chart, we are forming a triangle and have the next resistance level at about 22. So if we do break $14, if we do break this trend line and head down to $14, break that, we will, I think, be heading down to 10. But with the convention coming up, it is actually looking good for a push up. We might play around in this triangle for a bit. So day traders out there, if you are looking for a nice little long around 1650, might be a good area to go from. Just keep an eye on it, because if Bitcoin does dump, we'll take AVAX with it.
Yeah, great point.
But you could actually have, we might just wick down to these key fib levels too. So for me personally, I'd probably do two long orders, take profit at resistance, which is, around 21, 22. Stop loss below actually I would prefer my stop loss below 14, below this structure here. Actually we want to keep an eye out, because the R&R is not the best if I have it like this. I'll just put this in for the time being, but just keep an eye out on Facebook, and we'll keep it updated.
Yeah, nice. And yeah, I guess I will reiterate. I think Avalanche is one that I think I do have probably higher expectations of. I would probably put that and Solana in the same category as probably ones that could challenge Ethereum in like a worst case scenario, that Ethereum just can't solve its fee mechanisms, or it finds it has to delay a lot of things. They're probably the two I would have, at the top of the sort of alternative layer one. So there still are some fundamental drivers that I'm still I still find encouraging for Avalanche. It's definitely, its network activity and whatnot is still, at a healthy rate, like year to date. And even just at the conference in Austin, like they probably one of the most impressive projects turned out to be a game that was building on Avalanche, or at least, the part of the game that's going to like interact with the blockchain, it is going to be on Avalanche. And that one's called Shrapnel. I'm not much of a gamer myself, but it looked honestly just like it looked like a normal video game, which is, I think, something that the crypto gaming space has been, crying out for, because to date they've been quite primitive, bit clunky, and overall just not fun, a lot of the games to date. But Shrapnel is one that seems to have a lot of experienced developers from the normal gaming industry, and they've been working away for a while now, and that's expected to sort of launch in a guarded launch by the end of this year. One of the team members was telling me at the booth. So yeah, a lot to like about Avalanche, and yeah, we'll see what happens at this conference.
Yeah, awesome. I have just updated the entries here. I've put one entry on the 786, which is about 15.50, and then the next order on the 886, which is for about 14.82, and stop loss below the previous structure, which is 13.83. So we'll see how that goes.
Good stuff.
Move on to APT.
All right. So yeah, the token native to Aptos. So again, this got a lot of traction, a lot of hype. Late last year, the team mainly almost exclusively because the team was coming from Facebook. So Facebook had that, or Meta had that sort of stablecoin project that basically just got thwarted by just regulators who didn't want them to make a stablecoin. And so that team was sort of just left, who were actually a very talented, team of engineers and sort of developers and whatnot. They sort of branched off. One team went to Aptos, which is this one, and then another went to a blockchain called Sui. So that's SUI, and that blockchain is launching on mainnet this week. So I sort of wanted to just include Aptos in this sort of update, because when you get basically like a blockchain that launches that's very similar to another one, the market needs, again, crypto doesn't have any widely agreed upon ways to value these tokens and coins. So a lot of the thing that people jump to is a comparison of a similar sort of project. So a great example earlier this year was when Arbitrum went live just about a month ago. People were instantly sort of comparing it to Optimism's valuation. And when you saw Arbitrum, launch, it was very volatile, obviously. And then that also then led to a bit of volatility and optimism as well, as the market sort of found the price for Arbitrum. So that's sort of the reason why I put Aptos in here, is because like Sui is like a more or less like the same project, like to really dumb it down. And I think Aptos is in the top 100 by market cap, definitely. So I would expect Sui to be in there as well. And, on that first day that the token does go live, I would expect some volatility around Aptos, which I'll just look up those dates for you, Cass, as you get into just some TA.
Awesome. So we've had a nice push up. We've had an impulse move up, and more like a escalator move down from the bottom here at $3, around $3.16, to this local top of $20. Put the fibs in there, and we're currently sitting on a key level, the 618 fib level, and a level of support. So we've got our touch here, 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 and here. So this, if we do break this level, this $9.72 level, we will be heading down to the 786 fib level, which is another level of support. As you can see, we got some touches here. Not a whole lot of data on the 12-hour, but it will be interesting to see what we do here, whether we hold this level or we come back down to the 786. Nothing really is telling me to long it right now.
Sure.
But as I said, we're at this key level. Will be interesting to see if we hold here or continue down. Do have a bit of a broadening wedge. Megaphone, when the pattern's like this, it sort of does signal that it will go down, but we might come and push up here again, or we might just hold this 618 and the support level and have a push up. Need a couple more candles, some bullish candles. Would be good.
Makes sense.
A nice, healthy push up here.
Yeah.
Bullish engulfing, or something I will note is this wick here. They generally like to clean them up, so we might come back down here as well, fix that, and then push up.
Nice. I got that date of that mainnet launch is May the 3rd at midday on UTC time. So should be happening around the middle of this week, depending on where we are located. And the token will, like the mainnet of Sui is going live, and at that same time the token should launch. So again, Aptos was represented at this conference in Austin. They probably one thing to note there fundamentally was that they had been seeing particularly encouraging adoption in South Korea. That was mainly on the back of sort of several sort of hackathons that they have been running there, particularly one, I think that was in January, that they said, exceeded their expectations. And they're sort of, again, just like all the other layer ones, they're running grant programs, trying to like lure developers across. I would definitely say Aptos is a lot more unproven than the likes of Solana and Avalanche. But again, it's a lot younger, good experience on the team, but that is really just one factor out of like a bunch of factors you need to become a successful project. But yeah, one to watch as we see Sui go live, middle of this week.
Sounds good. Okay, move on to STX.
Yes, STX, a native token of Stacks. So that is, as you can see on the screen there, STACKS is the project. It's essentially just basically you can think of it as a layer 2 for Bitcoin, to really simplify it. similar to what we've got with Optimism and Arbitrum for Ethereum. You've got Stacks for Bitcoin, and they're trying to just basically make their project be something where you can do a lot of the things that you would do on Ethereum, and they're sort of, you know, wanting to bring that to Bitcoin and trying to still make it as secure as possible, which is probably the big sort of challenge there when you do have something building on a layer above a blockchain. But I want to highlight Stacks in this week's episode mainly because again, this Bitcoin ordinals sort of trend is just, it's really just not dying. If anything, it just continues. The demand for sort of inscriptions of this Bitcoin ordinals is just like insatiable, really. It just continues to surprise me in terms of how much adoption it's getting. And inscriptions, ordinals, it's basically all just, really, to compare it, it's essentially just NFTs on Bitcoin. And STX has sort of become this sort of proxy to the success of ordinals, even though Stacks has nothing actually to do with ordinals. It's one of those things where people who trade, you know, tokens and coins are really looking for an easy way to get exposure to something like ordinals, or really just people using Bitcoin in different ways. And Stacks has become sort of like the one where a lot of people are focusing on. So they do have more upgrades fundamentally happening this year as well, that they've been working on for a long time. So yeah, I think just yesterday, ordinals hit a record of like daily amount of inscriptions. And that's even after a lot of, you know, sort of really dramatic growth over February, March, April. So again, as I said, it just isn't going away. And that's why I want to sort of just highlight Stacks here as another one to sort of just watch as Bitcoin ordinals sort of really, you know, makes itself just more established.
Yeah, well, we're actually coming down to a key area. So the 88, so we're currently sitting on 0.688, which is the 786 fib level. But we're coming down to the 200 EMA on the daily, which also lines up with the 886 level. So that will be, for me, quite a big area to watch to buy in at. The MACD looks, should turn soon, hopefully. And the CCI is looking okay. No divergence as yet, but there's one forming. So we'll need to see if it ends up being valid. But yeah, it's coming into a key level.
Yeah, like later this week, it looks like. Is that later this week? It's sort of coming to a head, or maybe into next week. Yeah.
Well, sort of latest 13th of May, but
okay, yeah.
You could say, yeah, the next 5 days or so, we should know more and see if this level holds.
Yeah, nice.
Just go to the 12-hour. I like my wedges. Really, it's more of a channel at the moment, not a wedge. So, but it is, it's not valid because it's only got 2 touches, which I don't like.
Right.
But I have drawn it in. Sort of does come down to this key area, you know, the pink circle, which is good. So we'll see how that holds up over the next few days, and yeah, we can quickly revisit all these next week if we want.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, nothing too much extra to add, but I thought you know, it's worth just adding to the list to monitor, particularly if something like, you know, as Cass said earlier, if Bitcoin does see some more volatility, you might see sort of exaggerated, you know, movements in these sorts of ones that, you know, I think would be on the targets of a lot of different traders for the reasons we've sort of talked about.
Yeah, exactly.
And one that is definitely on the targets of or some traders in in the past week or so.
You want to
Kaz,
talk about the bear in the room?
let's rip the band-aid off and address Pepe. Yeah, I've worked full time in crypto now for more than 5.5 years, and I've never seen anything like this. It's basically, to really just summarize it, you've essentially got a meme coin. So a meme coin is just something like Doge or Shiba Inu, which I'm sure many of you out there are familiar with. It's a coin or token that exists more just for for community, for as a joke, you can think about it as, and as its sort of symbolic place in sort of internet culture. So Pepe is sort of a very, very early internet meme. It's always had like a very strong community, and it still gets used to this day in many different ways. Chainlink is a crypto project that was sort of really associated with Pepe early on, but that's actually more of a an actual solution, like an Oracle solution, whereas this one is actually just a meme coin. So its price, as many of these meme coins was 0.00000 many zeros, and then 1 2 3 when it launched, which was only 17 days ago. Skip forward 17 days later to today, and would you believe it that it's actually cracked the top 100 in the world by market cap? And it's still, the price of it is still, I think, 4 or 5 zeros, and then it goes off to 1 2 6 blah blah blah. Look, there's a lot we could talk about this for a long time, Cass, but I think probably my biggest takeaway is that you'll see a lot of it's all I've got. And when I'm going on social media in the past week, my feed is just basically not all about Pepe, but it's definitely the dominant sort of talking point. Yeah, it is. So when you do see it, just always remember, why are people talking about it? Typically with these sorts of things that don't have any fundamentals, which Pepe, I will stress, doesn't have any fundamentals in terms of like activity or usage or the token. There's no value that flows to the token. You've always just got to remember, okay, the people who are saying, hey, I just profited heaps off of Pepe. You've just got to remember, okay, what's their interest in saying this? And a lot of the time it's just to really just help bolster liquidity so they can exit. It's a reality. It's a very player PvP or player v player sort of space that crypto is in, especially in a bear market when there isn't really any new incomers coming into the space. So look, it's great for those people who started early and made significant profits, but I would really stress that this is very unlikely to go, yes, it could go higher, but it isn't going to go up another 100 or 200x like it has done in the past week or so. So I think we were talking with Cass earlier, and I did really draw similarities to gambling. People who make profits typically will share all their wins. People who lose money kind of won't say anything. So therefore you sort of think that, this is pretty easy to make money. With something like Pepe, it's been a insane story, to be honest. It's something that happens more in a crazy bull market, which is definitely not what we have at the moment. But yeah, it's the elephant in the room, so to speak, Cass. But I'll hand it over to you to see what you're at least seeing on the charts that Pepe has had.
Okay, well, not a whole lot of data,
Yeah.
as you said, because it's only been listed for a short amount of time. We do have this support level through here, which is at a mountain of zeros, and then 38331. And then we have found a resistance level at 125694. What's concerning me at the moment is we've got wicks to the upside, which is exhaustion. The MACD looks to turn soon, and the CCI is just in that section, and it just needs to come down, and when we look at coins that have had this sideways movement, be it that it's only new, but then we've just had this huge push up, we pretty much always tend to just dump just as hard. So if you're looking at buying this coin, wait for it to hit some levels. Don't buy in on big green candles. You will just get wrecked. We are trying to help. There is another level, you know, sort of through here, which I will just mark with my red line through there. So if you are looking to buy, at least wait for that area. If you are looking to have a gamble.
Yeah, well put.
Yeah, have a gamble. Wait to see what happens at this level, which is 83233. And if we break there, we're coming back down to the original level it sort of took off from. So not much data. Don't buy into the hype on social media. Wait for the charts to tell you something. It is printing a bit of a bull flag here, which yeah.
Yeah.
But we could, we could
what?
just come back up here, double top, and then it just dump, and people stop talking about it, and it goes back to nothing.
Yeah, time will tell. It'll be interesting to see. Like, I have absolutely no idea what it will do. But yeah, as Cass said, you know, if you are getting into it, it's basically a punt, really. You know, if you're going to put $50 in, just know that could go to zero overnight, essentially. You know, so yeah, now we wanted to touch on it because it's been everywhere. And yeah, it's quite a story, but yeah, I think that's a good way to end it. I do know, Cass, probably by the time this does come out, one thing that's going to be incredibly, basically will determine a lot of price action, I think, for crypto this week will be the Federal Reserve's policy announcement. So they'll be announcing rates. Vast, strongly predicted that it will go up by, the Fed's going to raise rates by 25 basis points over in the US, that is, so US central bank. If it goes up by more or less than that, you'll definitely see a lot of volatility in all markets, including, and that'll probably carry over to crypto. And as well as, you know, the chairman, Jay Powell, he will, you know, do his press conference after that. I think this is on May 3rd, Eastern time in the US. And if that press conference, if that has any surprises, you typically do see volatility as well. So yeah, I think it's the first rate decision we've had in 5 weeks or so. So yeah, a very important one that'll sort of, you know, set the foundations for what goes ahead in the coming weeks.
Yeah, definitely. So interesting week this week.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, we will leave it there. It's always good to get these insights of some T8 and a mix of FA or fundamentals here. So yeah, to find out more about, you know, Crypto Den, Collective Shift, we'll drop our websites URLs down below for those to check out more about what we do. But I think we will leave it there, Cass, for this week.
Sounds good. Thanks, Matt.